In 2013, inside a quiet house in Australia, Bill Bennett is packing for a long walking trip. He checks every item carefully. According to the guidebook, his backpack should not weigh more than 1/10 of his body weight. So he weighs, removes, adjusts, and packs again. But beside him, his wife Jennifer is worried. Bill is already in his 70s. Even ordinary walking can leave him short of breath. Now he wants to travel alone to Europe and walk the 800-kilometer Camino de Santiago. What if something happens on the road? But Bill has already made up his mind. He has to walk this path. And the reason begins with a trip to Spain. Sometime earlier, Bill and Jennifer were driving through the Spanish countryside. On the road, Bill saw a line of hikers moving along an ancient path. When he learned that this was the famous Camino de Santiago, he could not understand the attraction. To him, they looked almost like lemmings heading together toward the sea. Strange, absurd, a little ridiculous. But after returning to Australia, those pilgrims refused to leave his mind. He kept seeing them, their bowed heads, their heavy packs, their steady steps, and slowly a thought appeared. Maybe he should walk it too. At first, it was only a passing idea. Then it became a stubborn obsession. To prepare for the 800-kilometer journey, Bill begins training his body. He walks and exercises, trying to prove he can handle the distance. But his determination frightens Jennifer. She asks him why he must walk the Camino. Bill cannot give a clear answer. It is just like when he asked other pilgrims why they walked. Most of them could not explain it either. They simply felt they had to go. Before departure, a small accident happens. Bill tries a 35-kilometer test walk near home to see if his body can handle long-distance hiking, but he injures his knee. Bill does not care. Compared with the journey waiting for him, this pain feels minor. He believes he can simply endure it. Jennifer sees that she cannot stop him, so she gives him one demand: walk slowly. She knows her husband too well. Bill is impatient. He rushes into things. He pushes forward before thinking, but his knee has not healed. If he walks too far too soon, he will only hurt himself more. Jennifer asks him to shorten his first day. Instead of walking 24 kilometers to Roncesvalles, he should stop after 8 kilometers at Orason. 8 kilometers is not much for a pilgrimage, but Jennifer wants him to slow down and adjust to the rhythm of the Camino. Bill and Jennifer have been married for 41 years. He has many opinions and many habits that are hard to change, but he does not want his wife worrying at home. So reluctantly, he agrees. Bill chooses the most classic Camino route, the Camino Frances. It begins in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, crosses the Pyrenees, passes through towns like Pamplona, Burgos, and León, and finally heads west towards Santiago de Compostela. To keep the trip from becoming too lonely, Bill has already contacted 3 walking companions online. They agree to meet at Biarritz Airport in France. The group comes from different countries. Laszlo is from Hungary, Rosa is from the Netherlands, Balázs is from Hungary too. They are also different ages, with Rosa clearly much younger. But when the group sees Bill in person, everyone is quietly surprised. He is older than they expected. This man is in his 70s and already walks with effort. Can he really finish 800 kilometers on foot? That night, the 4 travelers stay in a small town near the airport. Rosa and Bill are assigned to the same room. Kind-hearted Rosa suggests Bill buy a pair of trekking poles to reduce pressure on his knees, but Bill is stubborn. Before the trip even begins, he has decided that an old-fashioned walking staff feels more like something a real ancient pilgrim would use. Rosa sees that arguing is useless, so she lets him be. After putting down their bags, the 4 go to an outdoor bar and sit together for drinks. Rosa, Laszlo, and Balázs order local draft beer. Bill is the only one who hesitates. In his fixed worldview, beer is something rough people drink. He sees himself as a director with taste and standards. How can he be associated with ordinary beer? But after the others keep encouraging him, Bill finally gives in and orders one. When the server brings the beer, she casually offers to take a group photo. No one expects this simple favor to become a problem. She takes several photos. Bill dislikes every one. The framing is wrong. There is too much space above their heads. The composition is not acceptable. Bill's picky attitude leaves the others speechless. They do not know how to stop him. Only when the server's patience is nearly gone does Bill finally compromise. That night before bed, Rosa asks Bill if he snores. Bill says no. Rosa finally relaxes because the next day is the first official walking day and she needs a good night's sleep. But she has no idea what is coming. Bill sleeps peacefully. Rosa spends the whole night suffering through his snoring and grinding teeth. The next morning, Rosa, Bill, Laszlo, and Balazs officially begin the Camino. But before 2 in the afternoon, Bill announces he is stopping. The others can keep going. He promised Jennifer he would only walk to Orison on the first day. After saying goodbye, Bill sits outside a roadside cafe. Wildflowers sway in the wind. The air smells of coffee, grass, and mountain sunlight. But inside, Bill feels unsatisfied. He has only just started. His body is full of energy. How can he stop after only 8 kilometers? Then he sees a woman walking past. She looks hurried and heavy, as if carrying a lifetime of confusion and sorrow. Her figure slowly disappears along the winding path. Bill watches her and wonders, why is she walking this road? Actually, he wants to ask every pilgrim the same question. Why are you here? But the server interrupts his thoughts. So Bill asks for advice. If you had a wife of 41 years who told you to walk only 8 kilometers on the first day, would you listen? The server still remembers how picky Bill was about the photo the day before. She rolls her eyes. She cannot believe there is a woman in the world who has tolerated him for more than 40 years. Still, before walking away, she gives him an answer. The answer is inside the question. If you really planned to listen to your wife, you would not be asking me. So Bill follows the Camino signs and walks on. He passes through old stone gates and historical streets. The arches and walls have survived centuries of wind and rain. Bill imagines the pilgrims of the past walking the same road with faith in their hearts. In that moment, his hesitation disappears. Keep walking. The first day should be spent on the road. Bill steps out through the town gate. Ahead of him is a wide open landscape. Grass rolls in the wind. Mountains rise faintly in the distance. The cool breeze brushes his face and carries away his doubts. Bill starts climbing toward the hills. Still, he knows he cannot fool Jennifer, so he nervously calls her. The moment he mentions that he is leaving Orison and walking farther, Jennifer lets out her signature scream of frustration. The server wondered how anyone could live with Bill for 41 years. But Jennifer is not exactly gentle either. She simply understands him better than anyone. Since she cannot fly to France and physically stop him, she can only sigh and surrender. With that problem solved, Bill feels lighter. He slows down and begins enjoying the beauty around him. Even Bill has to admit that if one word describes him, the polite version is difficult. The honest version is stubborn, self-important, and extremely fussy. Not long after, Bill meets a young pilgrim resting beside the road with what looks like an injured ankle. Bill greets him kindly, but after only a few words, his old habit returns. A normal conversation turns into a roadside lecture. Bill criticizes the young man's backpack for being too heavy. Then he points out that the socks are wrong. For a long walk like this, he says, the socks should be breathable and durable. Finally, he complains that the man's casual shoes are disrespectful for such a sacred route. After saying all of this, Bill does not even notice the young pilgrim's awkward expression. He simply walks away. By sunset, Bill reunites with Laszlo. Golden light spills over the hills. Cattle graze quietly in the fading light. The mountains and the evening air make everything feel as if time has slowed. Not far away, the Virgin of Orison stands on the ridge, glowing softly in the sunset. For centuries, she has stood there, watching over travelers on the Camino. Without making a speech, Laszlo stands near the statue and begins to sing an old hymn. His voice is low, deep, and ancient. There is no performance in it, only faith, only memory. The song blends with the sunset, the wind, and the low sounds of animals in the fields. Bill stands still. Something moves through him that he cannot explain. In the busy modern world of cities, roads, noise, and concrete, he has never felt this kind of quiet shock. He forgets the fatigue. He forgets the pain in his knee. He only looks at the scene before him. Bill has no strong religious faith, but in that moment, he begins to understand why pilgrims exist. Maybe they walk for this, for a touch that goes straight into the soul, for a kind of cleansing that cannot be scheduled or explained. Now, he feels like a real pilgrim. Along the Camino, there are many public albergues for pilgrims. They are affordable, simple, and built around the road. Each pilgrim also carries a credential, a Camino Camino passport. At every stop, they can collect a stamp. When they finally reach Santiago, those stamps become proof that they completed the route. When Bill arrives at the albergue, the first thing he does is get his passport stamped. Only after stopping does he realize his knee is worse than he thought. When Jennifer hears about it, she tells him to stop now, but Bill refuses. He is determined to reach Santiago. The next day, he starts walking again. He does not get far. The pain in his knee becomes too strong, and he collapses on the road. Passing pilgrims help him return to the albergue. Balazs checks his knee and sees how swollen it is. Rosa gives her own judgment. Bill's knee is badly worn down. He should stop this walk immediately, but Bill still refuses to surrender. Balazs wraps ice in a towel to help reduce the swelling. Then he takes Bill to a shop and makes him replace the old staff with trekking poles. Only by using proper poles to reduce pressure on his knee does Bill have any chance of reaching Santiago. While resting, the group gathers again for drinks and conversation. In the Middle Ages, many people walked the Camino for penance. Now, most modern pilgrims come for different reasons: self-discovery, healing, searching for answers, starting life over. Laszlo's reason is simple. His love life has always been a disaster. Every woman he likes does not like him back, so he hopes the Camino can help him change. Rosa has walked part of the route before. This time, she wants to finish the whole thing. Only by escaping the noise of city life and walking this road can she feel her spirit healing. Balazs wants to make himself stronger through physical hardship. His beloved wife has cancer and may not have much time left. He must prepare himself to face a world without her. And Bill still cannot explain why he is here. But he believes that if he finishes the journey, he will find the answer. Even he is surprised that he can sit with people he has never met before and talk as naturally as if they were old friends. The journey has only covered about 30 kilometers, yet it has already given him so much. Bill begins to look forward to what comes next, but because of his knee, he should rest for at least 3 days. Balazs leaves his towel behind so Bill can keep icing it. Before leaving, he repeatedly tells Bill to rest properly before walking again. Unfortunately, the albergue rules only allow Bill to stay one more night. He has traveled all the way from Australia to France. He refuses to go home early. So there is only one option: grit his teeth and keep walking. Bill limps out of the albergue, and somehow he keeps going. Another 70 kilometers. His next major destination is Burgos. To get there, pilgrims usually pass through a 9-kilometer industrial road filled with traffic, dust, and bad air. Just thinking about it makes Bill's knee ache. But a new Camino friend, Ivan, knows a quieter and more beautiful alternate path into Burgos. Bill follows him. On the 13th day of the walk, they arrive in Burgos. Along the way, Ivan has watched Bill limp with every step. He suggests that if Bill only wants to experience the Camino, he can take a taxi to the destination. There is no need to punish his body like this. But Bill's answer does not change. He wants to walk to Santiago on his own feet. By the time he reaches Burgos, Bill has already walked nearly 300 kilometers with pain in his knee. To thank Ivan for guiding and helping him, Bill invites him to dinner. At the meal, Bill asks why Ivan has been so kind to a stranger. Ivan smiles and explains. Last year, when he walked the Camino, a Scottish woman showed him this beautiful hidden route. Now he wants to pass along the kindness and the beauty she gave him. In Ivan's eyes, a true pilgrim learns to share, to pass warmth forward. The pilgrim's feet do not easily stop. After leaving Burgos, Bill happens upon a local outdoor party. Music fills the street. Neighbors gather, laugh, dance, and drink together. Over the past 300 kilometers, Bill has received help from one stranger after another. He is no longer the sharp, picky old man he was at the beginning. He even forgets the pain in his knee for a while. Moved by the cheerful atmosphere, he steps into the crowd and dances with the music. By the 15th day, Bill studies the route ahead and becomes uneasy. The meseta stretches before him, a vast open plateau nearly 200 kilometers long. Few towns, little shade, long empty distance. Can his injured knee survive this? If something goes wrong in the middle of that emptiness, how will he handle it alone? But Bill only thinks about it for a moment. He is still carrying Balazs's towel, and that towel looks expensive. No matter what, he has to reach Santiago and return it. Ivan tells Bill that the hill ahead marks the entrance to the meseta. It will be one of the most difficult parts of the Camino. People often say the Camino has 3 stages. The first stage is like the beginning of life. You feel emotional highs and lows. You enjoy wildflowers, new friendships, and beautiful sights. But you also feel the weight of your body and the pain of each step. The second stage is the meseta, often described as death. 200 kilometers of empty land. Nothing but sky, earth, heat, distance, and silence. There, a person must face loneliness directly. The third stage, after reaching Santiago, is rebirth. Once a pilgrim survives the pain and hardship, the heart settles and transforms. A new life can begin. So Ivan asks Bill if he is ready to climb the hill and step into death. At the hilltop albergue, Bill unexpectedly meets Rosa again. He originally wants to rest for 2 nights and prepare for the plateau, but Rosa tells him that Balazs has been walking as fast as possible. He wants to return to Hungary before his wife's illness worsens. Bill immediately decides not to rest. He will speed up and catch Balazs. Rosa is shocked. With Bill's knee, he should be in a hospital, not walking more than 400 kilometers to return a towel that Balazs may not even remember. Rosa is often helpless in the face of Bill's stubbornness, but she also respects it. She understands that the towel is not really the point. Bill wants to prove that even at his age, he can still push beyond his limits. Bill finally admits there is pride in it, but more than pride, he needs a reason strong enough to keep him going. Without a reason, 800 kilometers is simply too long. Rosa smiles. The old man in front of her is no longer only stubborn and difficult. His honesty makes him unexpectedly endearing. On the 18th day, the sun burns over the mountain path. Bill sees a snail crossing the road. Under the heat, the little creature moves slowly and clumsily, but it never stops. Bill feels a strange connection to it. Is he not the same? Slow, awkward, in pain, but still moving toward the destination. The days pass one step at a time. By the 24th day, Bill has walked 557 kilometers. Only 223 kilometers remain before Santiago. He has changed a great deal along the way. He no longer clings so tightly to unnecessary details. He begins to simplify his backpack. He begins to let go of old habits. Even shaving becomes a lesson. On the Camino, weight matters more than comfort. A fancy electric razor may shave better, but a small single-blade razor is lighter and easier. Bill begins asking himself a question. When did life change from a simple single blade into a complicated 4-blade machine? People enter the world empty-handed. The Camino is teaching Bill to return to something simpler. He looks at all the things he owns, all the objects and preferences he once considered essential, and wonders how many of them are truly necessary. The more a person chases ownership, the heavier the heart becomes. On the 26th day, Bill meets a new walking companion named Rushu. Before walking the Camino, Rushu was a wealthy businessman, the kind of man others might envy. But wealth did not bring peace. Instead, he became lonelier. He often wondered what would happen if the stock market collapsed, his company failed, and all his property disappeared overnight. Who would still care about him then? Rushu also carries pain from childhood. Money could never heal that old wound. But walking the Camino has helped him understand something. If he cannot let go of the past and forgive himself, no one else can truly save him. On this road, pilgrims walk together, support each other, and move toward Santiago step by step. That is why Rauchu is willing to share the secret in his heart with Bill, even though they have known each other only briefly. Along the way, Bill also runs into Lucy, the pilgrim who once helped him when he fell. Bill has noticed that Lucy often enters churches along the route. He becomes curious. Is she a true believer? Lucy says no. She is walking this road to seek forgiveness. She carries a heavy story. She once had a relationship with a married man. The man spent recklessly because of his attachment to her, borrowed heavily, and left his family in financial ruin. Later, that man's life ended in tragedy, leaving behind a wife and child who had to struggle alone. Then Lucy was diagnosed with cancer. She believed it was punishment. She blamed herself for the man's death and for destroying a family. Bill listens quietly. Then he reacts in his blunt, old way. That's it? Bill has seen darker things in the world. To him, Lucy's mistake is not the unforgivable sin she believes it to be. The man was destroyed not only by Lucy, but by his own unchecked desire and lack of restraint. Bill tells Lucy to let the guilt go. She should try forgiving herself. This road is already her chance to make peace with the past and begin again. Later, while resting at an inn, Bill meets the young pilgrim he once lectured by the roadside. This time, he is different. He no longer obsesses over perfect photo framing or the correct space above a person's head. He simply pulls out his phone, takes a quick picture, and captures their smiles. That is enough. By the 31st day, only 3 kilometers remain. Bill meets Laszlo again. Laszlo tells him that Balázs and the others have agreed to meet at the cathedral at 5 o'clock that evening. But the closer Bill gets to the end, the more confused he feels. He has almost completed the Camino, and still, he cannot clearly explain why he came. But his heart is full. He has so much he wants to tell Jennifer. Bill knows he has not always been a good husband or father. He is strict, picky, easily irritated. He often put work and career ahead of family. He often ignored the feelings of the people beside him. But on the phone, Jennifer only smiles. Yes, she says, he is strict and difficult, but he is also a kind man. She does not regret being with him. When night falls, Bill walks out of the cathedral, and waiting for him outside is Jennifer, the person who worried about him from the beginning, the person who screamed at him when he ignored her advice, the person who still understood him better than anyone. After 800 kilometers, Bill finally understands something. The meaning he was searching for was not hidden at the end of the road. It was in every step, every stranger who helped him, every conversation over beer, every painful morning, every stamp in his pilgrim passport, every mountain, church, village, song, and silent stretch of road. The Camino did not turn Bill into a completely different person. It did something gentler. It stripped away some of his sharpness. It made him lighter, more open, more grateful, less eager to control every frame of the picture. At the beginning, Bill mocked the pilgrims as people walking blindly toward death. But by the end, he understands that they were walking toward life. Not a louder life, not a richer life, not a more successful life, a simpler one, a life measured by footsteps, kindness, and the courage to keep moving. The Way, My Way is a 2024 Australian comedy drama written and directed by Bill Bennett, based on his best-selling Camino memoir. Chris Haywood plays Bill, while Jennifer Clough plays Jennifer. The film follows a stubborn, self-centered Australian man who decides to walk the 800-kilometer Camino de Santiago without really knowing why. Along the way, he meets real pilgrims and fellow travelers, each carrying a different wound, hope, or question. Laszlo wants love to change. Rosa seeks healing and quiet. Balázs walks while preparing himself for grief. Ivan passes forward kindness he once received. Rushu learns that wealth cannot repair the wounds of the past. Lucy tries to forgive herself, and Bill, who begins as the most difficult man in the group, slowly learns to walk without needing to control every step. This film does not rely on loud drama. It finds meaning in the slow rhythm of walking, in sore knees, in shared drinks, in old songs at sunset, in strangers becoming friends, in the surprising way a long road can soften a hard personality. At first, Bill thinks the Camino is a strange line of people marching toward nothing. But one step at a time, the road teaches him that the destination is never the whole point. Sometimes the answer is not waiting at the cathedral. Sometimes it is in the person walking beside you. Sometimes it is in the towel you insist on returning. Sometimes it is in admitting that you were difficult but still loved. And sometimes, after hundreds of kilometers, you discover that the thing you were looking for was right in front of you all along. That's all for today's movie recap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe our channel, like, comment, and share. I'll see you in the next one.